Hey guys, how's it going? Toofty here.
Sorry about that, I think I had something in my throat. That was my missus. She just happened to be in the room and I thought, I've got an idea, come here, it's going to be amazing. Anyway, I was going to start this video with an intro like this. Wait for it. In recent years, I've noticed a devastating epidemic sweeping the nation. One that is destroying us and tearing us apart as a society of gamers. That epidemic is the fact that we can't... I was going to do it that way, but then I thought it's a bit extreme, isn't it? It's a bit dramatic, Toofty. Calm down. But anyway, yeah, that epidemic. People playing video games and not enjoying them. I know, messed up innit? Just shouldn't happen, mate. Should not happen. Now this video is largely inspired by my experiences with Overwatch, but because of the nature of my channel, I'm going to put some TF2 content in the background, and this topic does apply to any competitive video games that are online. So, have you noticed it too? Your friends or people you're playing with online, they're playing a video game but they're just really not enjoying it. But let me tell you the answer to your problems straight away. The secret to enjoying video games more. All you have to do is enjoy losing. Boom, you're welcome. So in this video I plan to chat about who and how many of us actually have this problem, why we have the problem, and if there is anything we can do to try and make us get through those really bad games. Those games where you're getting rolled and it all feels pretty bad. So to start off with, so are there people who actually don't enjoy a game if they're losing? Well, let's take a look at this little poll I did on Twitter. I decided to do it again more recently because I wanted to make sure this data was kind of fresh, but they both show roughly the same thing, right? Let's say about 40% of us enjoy losing often, about 50% of us enjoy losing sometimes, and about 10% of us either very rarely or never enjoy losing. Which is pretty messed up when you think about it, because it's not like we're at work. It's the weekend. We're doing whatever we want to be doing with our lives. We're choosing to play video games, which are beautiful. And a big chunk of our time is filled with negativity, which is just not good. And that's why I wanted to chat about this today. Actually, I mean, if I'm completely honest with you, I was a little bit pleasantly surprised at this. I thought the often category would be next to nothing. But awesome. A good chunk of us enjoy losing either always or often. So there's a bunch of comments I got on Twitter as well, and I'll go through these very quickly. So for example, this first guy says, it's more about whether the match was even or well fought than about whether you win or lose. Winning is just the icing on the cake. That's quite nicely put. Of course it's not black and white. It's not, if I win I'm happy, if I lose I'm sad. There's so much more to it than that. It's all about having a balanced game, one that you feel like you're contributing to. That's a big factor for me. I feel like even if I'm losing, if I feel like I'm making a huge impact on the game, really slowing down the enemy, I can still have loads of fun. Another guy down here says how if he's in a pub, it's like sure, whatever. If he's playing more of an official game, then yeah, he's not going to enjoy that if he loses. Another guy says only if it was a good game and I tried my best. That's kind of similar to what I was saying. If I feel like I'm doing well, then I can enjoy the game more, even if I'm losing. It depends if the enemy team played fair, of course. If there are hackers, no one enjoys that. How your team behaved, if your team's giving up or if they're doing their best and working together. All these contribute to how much you enjoy a game. And finally, this last guy says as long as it's not a roll, because the rolls are as boring as hell. So one of the main things I wanted to do in this episode is show you this amazing chart that I've got. It's something I've been thinking about for a little while and I wanted to get your thoughts on. So, these are the three types of games that you can have: a win, a draw or a lose. Now this is a very simplified chart, but for the sake of this discussion I think this will be fine. And across the top of this chart I've got two more words that are going to segment this further: balanced and roll. I'm going to give the world of gaming the benefit of the doubt and say that most games are balanced. Bear with me here. So I just wanted to go through this and discuss how much enjoyment you get from each type of game. So naturally, the first segment, this is the ideal scenario, right? It's a balanced game and you win. It's glorious. It's what we always want, and I'm going to colour this green to show that you're in a pretty good mood in this scenario. Next up, you win, but it's a roll. Now then, I think people would have different opinions here, but personally speaking, I don't find these games very satisfying. And we kind of touched on this before, but if I know for a fact that if I didn't do anything, we'd still win the game, that feels pretty lame to me. I really want to make sure that I'm having an impact in the game. That's the most important thing to me. But at the same time, it's not like a horrific experience. So I'm going to colour this in yellow to show that it's kind of neutral. Occasionally you can have a good game here where it feels like you're rolling because of how well you're doing, but most of the time it just feels a bit lame, a little bit like a waste of time really. Next up, a balanced draw. Again, I think this can vary, but for the sake of this diagram, I'm going to colour this in green. in theory, these should be very enjoyable, but I know there are situations where that's not the case. For example, if the enemy team clutch it at the last second, you feel like you deserve to have won, or if you draw because someone leaves at the last minute or what have you, there's always going to be situations that are going to be less than ideal. And finally, the last portion of the map, a big fat blob of red for the lose section. This is to symbolise those people who never or very rarely enjoy losing. This is what their gaming experience looks like. If you very often enjoy losing, then this is going to be green and you're good to go. I thought this was an interesting way of visually representing your gaming experience and why it's so important that you enjoy that bottom half of this and at least come to terms with losing games, because it's a large part of your experience. What you really want to be doing is turning that red green, making everything beautiful and green, like the summer grass that's just been cut. Make it all fluorescent green. Beautiful. Mother, why isn't it all green? Okay, we've gone a bit far there. Let's calm down. So just very briefly, before we talk about some of the things you might be able to do to maybe make you feel a little bit better when you're losing, I wanted to first talk about why do people not enjoy losing? And I think it comes down to personality. Basically how competitive you are, how passionate you are as a person. And by no means am I saying that if you find it difficult to enjoy losing, that makes you a bad person. I would actually imagine that that personality attribute can be very useful. You're all very competitive people who really want to get that win and therefore push yourself perhaps harder to continue to get better. I find that personally, I'm not a massively competitive person. I just want an easy life, This is my downtime after work or what have you. And maybe because I'm quite laid back, I find it easier to sort of not worry so much about the outcome of my games. I don't know, just a theory. I was wondering also, are people more competitive nowadays? Are we more spoilt? I don't really think it comes down to those things. I think we're just simply seeing way more competitive online experiences than we did, say, 10, 15 years ago. When I was a kid, I played GoldenEye, for example, on split screen, but that felt so different, We were just chilling out, laughing at each other, a bit of banter. You're with your friends, it's completely different. When you're with strangers online, I think that's when things can get a bit more heated and things can get a little bit more toxic. So I wanted to end this episode on some ideas for if you're completely incapable of enjoying a game the moment you start losing. I wanted to go through some things that I think maybe I do subconsciously that help me if I'm starting to get a little bit triggered. It's worth bearing in mind that every minute you're putting into a game, you're gaining valuable experience. Sometimes it feels like, what a waste of time, we're getting demolished here. But if you're just trying your best and maybe you're playing against really difficult opponents, then yeah, that's great experience. That's valuable practice time. If you're getting completely rolled, I know it's super easy to go, forget it, I'm going to go tourbillon. But why not just use those 5-10 minutes to just carry on trying hard and to practice against a tough opponent that may lead you in a better place for the next round? The next thing is a bit of a weird one, but sometimes if I'm getting frustrated, I can kind of put myself in an empathetic mindset. So I can think, do you know what? Imagine if I was on the other team. Imagine how much fun those guys are having. So this might be a bit extreme, and I don't do it too often. I'm not it's a bit of a crazy thing to do, but if I'm really feeling, this is annoying, I can sometimes do that and go, do you know what? That sniper just destroyed our entire team. He's having a really good game. We're making his life, his game, a little bit better. And if you can get a tiny bit of resolve from that, then that's really cool. Another potentially more practical option is to play more passively, because what I find is the real kind of spikes of negative emotions. This is getting really deep, isn't it, guys? This sounds like a psychologist session. Tell Uncle Toofty everything. But what I was going to say was, I find the worst moments in a game, when you're losing and having a bad time, are the moments you die, right? It makes sense. It's really frustrating when you die. When you die anyway, it's a bit annoying, but when you die and you're having a bad day, it's super annoying. So, one option is to play very passively. Maybe pick a hero that's a sniper. That's advice I shouldn't be giving out publicly. Or maybe even a support, a healer, for instance, avoiding the battle completely. Anyone that just is likely to die less often, and therefore you're going to get less of those spikes of negative emotions. Again, that sounds far too deep for my liking. Another option, just try a new hero, especially in more casual games. If you're not enjoying it, why not learn a new hero? Why the flip not? Use that time to try a new hero. You're going to lose anyway. Have a little play around with a new hero. This doesn't always work because, personally speaking, if we start losing, I can't help but choose my best hero or class or what have you. Because despite what I've said before, I do actually get really competitive. And if we're on the underdogs team, I really want to try and slow down the enemy team. But yeah, trying a new hero, it could just sort of take the edge off, make you realise, oh yeah, it's just a game, we're just having a bit of fun, there's no need to worry. Other more obvious options are try another game mode. If you're playing competitive, try casual or quick play. If you're already in quick play, maybe try arcade. Or the final step would be just to take a break completely. I think that's something that's very difficult. Often we have a time window of say a couple of hours to play a video game. We don't want to just walk away and stop playing video games. I think you can almost get just as much out of going into a new game mode as you can from taking a break. But if you are, one of those people who struggles a lot, walking away from your computer, getting a quick drink, looking out the window just for a couple of minutes, it can really chill you out quite nicely. So I realised this was a bit of an odd video. I always like to try something different on this channel, and I just like to share kind of whatever's on my mind. But I hope some of what we discussed today was interesting to you, and I just wanted to leave you with a couple of things. Trying and caring aren't the same thing. You always want to be trying to win, but that doesn't necessarily mean you have to care so much or worry so much if you don't. Now, not caring sounds a bit negative, but yeah, this idea of decoupling trying and caring, I feel like they kind of almost come hand in hand, as it's very difficult not to sort of care when you're exerting all that effort into trying to win something. Again, probably getting far too philosophical for this episode. And finally, even if you can't necessarily enjoy losing, you have to, at the very least, come to terms with it, because it will be approximately half of your gaming experience. And if you're someone who really gets triggered, I'd even almost go as far as saying gaming might not be for you, unless the highs are so good that you're willing to go through those miserable moments to get to those highs, and you really get a buzz from winning. But it does start to sound a little bit like a drug addiction. But yeah, try playing with some friends. I always find it really easy when I'm playing with friends or if I'm on Twitch to sort of focus more on that interaction and worry much less about the outcome of the games. That certainly works for me anyway. Okay guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below, especially if you're someone who struggles with this. If you have any coping mechanisms, so to speak, is there anything in particular that you do when you're feeling a bit down? Or are there just those certain scenarios like toxic players that really get you down, but normally you have a great game? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, apologies for the madness in this episode, and I'll see you guys in the next video.
We have taken the enemy intelligence. Thanks, Doc. We have taken. We have.
Hi guys, how's it going? Toofty here.
Let's do a normal one.
Hi guys, how's it going? Toofty here.
Bit of enthusiastic. Bit more enthusiastic.
Hi guys, how's it going? Toofty here.